It just popped into my head. The minute I thought of it, I knew it was a wicked good idea.
Well, the fact is that we're in the chain of the Appalachian Mountains. And the fact is that it does go from one country to another. So when you put the two together, it's the International Appalachian Trail.
We did exactly the way Bent Mackay did it. We put it on the table and said, does anybody think this is an interesting idea?
I propose to lead an effort to extend the Appalachian Trail, that narrow foot trail that now stretches from Georgia to Maine along the spine of the Appalachian Mountains to the end of that range in the Chic-Choc Mountains of Quebec's Gaspé Peninsula. I am confident that this narrow trail, connecting the special wild places of each of our political jurisdictions, will serve as a reminder that the mountains and the rivers and the forest are our real heritage, our common biological and geological bond.
His idea was to connect things together, to connect communities, to connect the mountains, to connect the landscape.
We've got NAFTA, we've got all sorts of commercial agreements in North America, and this footpath, recreational footpath, is a great idea to link people from Canada to the United States.
It's a really good example of Canada and the United States working together in a totally grassroots way, without the government sort of promoting the idea, without the government managing the idea. It's like the Appalachian Trail, which is one of the great examples of government and private organizations working together.
I'm so excited about this Earth Day announcement about the International Appalachian Trail, and I can't wait to get started. I hope we get several miles of trail made this summer, and I'm committed to working hard every year, and I can't wait till Earth Day 2000 when we supposedly will be finished with this new trail and can celebrate that it's all made.
I want to thank Chloe in absentia. You can sense her enthusiasm. Now I'd like to introduce Don Hudson, who I said earlier was a well-known Maine environmental educator.
I think you can see pretty clearly at the lower center portion of this map that the Appalachian Mountains extend through Vermont and New Hampshire into Maine and very directly on up to their logical end, the end of the Gaspé Peninsula, which is in southeastern Quebec. In fact, the mountains actually extend on into Newfoundland and points eastward all the way, as some would suggest to you, to Scotland and the highlands of northwestern Europe. But that's probably a matter for another day.
Tori Sylvester read an article about the trail's proposed route and was excited about the idea.
I looked at it and it just didn't seem like a very good route to me, and having had a cousin that owned the top of Mars Hill Mountain and having been raised in Mars Hill, I called this Dick Anderson and said, look, I think I've got an idea that might sell.
His idea did sell, and Mars Hill became the first completed trail section in Maine, and Tori became vice president of the Maine chapter of the International Appalachian Trail.
So then we decided on the South Peak here, which has this beautiful view of number 9, Mount Chase and Mount Katahdin in the southwesterly distance, to build the first shelter.
From Mars Hill, the trail heads north along the boundary between the U.S. and Canada. After a 13-mile walk along the border, the trail enters Canada at Andover, New Brunswick. Hikers pass through customs here and set their watches 1 hour ahead to Atlantic time. Unlike Maine, where the trail is an all-volunteer effort, in New Brunswick, the provincial government is heavily involved in creating nearly 200 miles of the trail. It all began with a call from Dick Anderson.
It took one call. He convinced us that we should be part of this, and it's been great fun ever since.
Bob Melville is the trail's New Brunswick chairman.
That not only helps this province, but it helps tourists and it helps people from Quebec come down here to feel more comfortable. And it's bringing Americans together with Canadians. And so socially, I think it's a boon to this area, as well as just a nice physical thing to do.
Matapedia marks the beginning of the International Appalachian Trail in Quebec. Here, the IAT, the International Trail, is known in French as the SIA. Trail creator Dick Anderson has high hopes for Matapedia.
Matapedia is going to be, it's going to rival Damascus for a great trail town.
We're very happy to be able to announce today that this is the start of the the first section in Quebec of the International Appalachian Trail.
Do you want to be in the history books next to Benton Mackay?
No, I don't think that's the way it would work out, but I certainly want to see a trail that has been built and be able to say, well, I helped.
Very, very close.
I think any trail is a connection. I mean, they lead people to places to see things that they normally might not see.
Cap Gaspé in Quebec's Forillon National Park. Here, the Appalachian mountain chain meets the North Atlantic at the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The trail climbs the narrowing backbone of the Appalachians to this observation tower, nearly 1,000 feet above the ocean. From here, the journey's end is within view, the jagged cliffs of the Appalachians' last promontory. It was to this point that John Brinda of Bellingham, Washington, walked on October 10, 1987. John became the first person to walk from Key West, Florida, along the Appalachian Trail and the International Trail to the Cap Gaspé Lighthouse, an incredible 9-month journey of over 4,800 miles. In so doing, he was also the first person to complete the International Appalachian Trail. The trail had become reality. This June, the final leg of the trail through Forillon National Park was dedicated in an international ceremony.
I thank everyone who has worked so long and hard to make this day possible.
Unveiled were 2 plaques. One, a copy of the plaque at Springer Mountain, Georgia, showing a male hiker heading north on the Appalachian Trail. On the other plaque, a female hiker heading south on the International Appalachian Trail.
This thinking beyond borders, getting people in New Brunswick and Quebec and Maine to know each other and learn about each other. And I mean, I think that's the really satisfying part of it.